how's it going, everyone? I hope you all are having a wonderful day. I'm a mess, and we are back with episode 3 of the One Piece live action series. Now, before we begin, I just want to quickly mention I screwed up a bit. When I first got the images, I missed a section and then realized it later. So when we get to that point, I'm going to reference, hey, this part actually happened earlier. So just so you guys are aware. And also, since it seems like every episode is going to have its own individual logo, I'm just going to start the episode with that. Even though it doesn't happen at the beginning of the episode, I'm just going to focus on that for now. So like for this episode, they had the Usopp logo, which is amazing. It's Usopp's long nose, despite him not having a long nose in this series. And then in Hammer, because he's the unofficial shipwright until Frankie joins. And since this is clearly Usopp's episode, of course it's gonna start with Usopp as a kid running around yelling, "Pirates are coming! Pirates are coming!" And then it does a quick montage of him throughout the years constantly doing this to the point where everyone's like, okay, the boy who cried pirate, we get it, Usopp, you're getting really annoying with this. And Usopp is just like, don't worry, I am the great Captain Usopp. I will protect you all from those evil pirates that are definitely coming today. And then back to the present, this is going to keep happening a lot. There's going to be constant transitions between points in the story. It's not going to stick to one part. So for this one, it's going back to Nami as she's going over the map for the Grand Line. And she gets very curious about Reverse Mountain. So like I referenced in the last episode, Reverse Mountain is not a well-known place. Not everyone knows that's the entrance to the Grand Line. So at this point, that has Nami completely curious about what that is and how to get there. And while Nami is studying the map, Luffy was working on their very first Jolly Roger, the incredibly ugly looking skull and bones with a straw hat on it, because they are the Straw Hat Crew. He just came up with a name on the spot. And Nami and Zoro are just like, ew, disgusting, no, we're not calling ourselves that. And then Zoro informs Nami, hey, our toilet's broken. Nami gets here, he's like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, there's a flooding in the room over. Nami freaks out, rushes in, and sees that her secret stash got flooded out, thus ruining that little tiny transponder snail she had from the last episode. So now it's completely worthless. And then again, another cut to see what Kobe's up to. Garp just set out to sea, and Kobe's just working as a typical cadet. And while Kobe's completely into what he's doing, tying a perfect knot to make sure the rope doesn't come loose, Himmoble's just like, whatever, I'm just gonna leave it as is, causing Kobe to pick up the slack for him. And Himmobile was not happy about that. It's like, hey, I already tied it. What do you think you're doing? Kobe's like, you tied it wrong. I'm just covering for you. And Garp just so happened to notice. He's impressed. He's like, huh. Kobe, you've sailed before, right? This is a nice knot, which is kind of like a very awkward scene. He's just tied in a knot, and Garp is incredibly impressed to the point where it's like, Kobe is his favorite pupil right now. It may also have something to do with Himmobile being a Marine soldier's son. A corrupt one, but still a soldier's son. He should know better in this situation. He should be able to do a lot more than some of the other cadets. But seeing as how Kobe is far more skilled than he is, that impressed Garp. And then we cut back to the Straw Hats. Well, actually, we cut back somewhere else, but I forgot to get the image for that point. I'm gonna cover it later on in the episode. I promise. For now, we're gonna focus on the Straw Hats. The Straw Hats made it to Sierra Village, and now they're looking for a new ship. And Luffy was drawn to this particular ship, the one with the goat for a figurehead. Now, of course, us fanbase know it's the Going Merry, the Straw Hats' first flagship. And it's kind of a touching moment because they're playing sentimental music, and it's kind of like, oh, the Merry. It's just so nostalgic to see. But also very weird how Luffy's just naturally drawn to this one. I mean, we get it, it's the original flagship for the Straw Hats, but the way they got it in the anime was, it was a gift from Mary, as a thanks for rescuing him and Kaya. Here, it's just a random ship in the port that Luffy just so happened to look at and was all like, this is my ship. And he just so happened to also meet Usopp on there. Usopp is the one who tends to the ships, and this was his favorite ship. He called it the fastest ship in the East Blue. And so Luffy was convinced this needs to be his ship. He needs to speak to the owner and purchase it from them. Or, well, since he has no money, he needs to convince them to give it to him for free. Fortunately for him, Usopp just so happened to be good friends with the owner. And back to Garp and Kobe. And Garp is comforting Kobe because Kobe's starting to doubt himself. The only reason he's doing well right now is because everything he learned on a pirate ship. So he's starting to think that the lessons he learned might hinder him in being a good Marine. Garp is completely disagreeing with him. He's like, everything you learn on that ship is gonna help you become a better Marine. You yourself never viewed yourself as a pirate. You didn't see that as a part of you. You were just there. And just because you were there does not make it that you're unworthy of being a Marine. Everything you learn there still counts as knowledge to help you survive. And then just for some random ass reason, Garp decided to play what I think it's called Mahjong. It's that game where you put the black and white pieces onto the board. I don't know what it's called. I think it's Mahjong, but I could be completely wrong. I'm sorry for people who actually play this game and know what it's called and are very familiar with the rules and everything. I have no idea what it's about. Now, the reason he's playing this game with him is because it's to teach him about life. It's supposed to be kind of like an Uncle Iroh situation where he enjoys playing that board game. I forget what it was called, but it's the one with the White Lotus chip. And he always has some wise words for either Zuko or Aang or whoever he's talking to at the moment. He always has some type of wise, sagely advice for them. That's kind of what Garp is representing right now. And then back to the Straw Hats, and they're entering Kaya's mansion. Usopp is bragging about how him and Kaya are good friends and how she gives him an open invitation to drop in whenever he wants. However, the staff doesn't feel the same way about him. The moment they see him, they get incredibly annoyed. They're like, Usopp, you know you're not allowed here. He's like, yeah, I am. Kaya gave me permission. I have a special gift for her because it's her birthday today. You can't really stop me. And then Kaya shows up all happy to see him, pretty much supporting his claim. Since Usopp and his friends were here, she decided to invite them all to dinner, especially since it's her birthday. She wants them there to have a massive birthday party with her. And while everyone's getting ready, Usopp snuck into Kaya's room to give her her birthday present. And what he gave her was this giant white rock, and he's telling her that it's a massive pearl. Obviously being a lie, but Kaya doesn't care. She likes Usopp. And then Usopp broke off into this massive story about how he defeated a giant goldfish to get it. And he ended up mistaking one of its giant poops for an island, which is a callback to Kaya's favorite story from the anime. And then him and Kaya broke out into a fit of laughter. And in the middle of it, Kaya started coughing. So Usopp gets her special tea, which is this blue tea, which is highly suspicious. Especially since we know what her butler is like. Catador, I think that was his name. I always forget. You know what? Spoilers for later on in the episode. For those who don't know, it's Captain Kuro. Kuro of the Thousand Plans. He's pretending to be a butler in order to kill her and then steal her estate. And you can kind of tell the reason she is sick is because he's been poisoning her. And he's been doing it solely to avoid suspicion. However, despite him being careful, Zoro somewhat recognized him. He didn't pinpoint him as Kuro just yet. For the time being, he's still the butler, Claudador. I think that's how it's pronounced, Claudador. Sorry, I'm just gonna call him Claudador. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, but that's how I read it. So I'm just gonna call him Claudador for the time being. I apologize if that's wrong. But Zoro is starting to get suspicious of him. And while Zoro was busy thinking about it, we had a kind of a funny moment with Nami trying on different clothes, showing Luffy, and Luffy just being like, you're still Nami. I don't know what's the point of all these outfits. You're Nami. And she's like, God dang it, Luffy. You are the most uncultured person I've known. You can't even tell me if I look good in a dress or not. Okay. We go back to Kuro trying to poison Kaya. It's gonna happen throughout the episode. He's always giving her something that's light blue, whether it's tea, whether it's this weird looking soup, which the chef was about to eat, but the other girl with light blue hair stopped him. So I'm assuming it's her brand of poison. That's her specific poison that she made and what she's known for. Which, by the way, to talk about his crew a little bit, the staff that he had infiltrate the mansion, Django is not there! Like, I had watched this entire episode, and Django is not a part of his crew. I am so disappointed in that. Something collaborates that later on, and I'm gonna get more into this when we reach that point. But for now, let's continue with this. So Kuro is clearly one of those fancy people. He enjoys having high quality stuff and likes everything to be in tip-top perfect shape. So when he happened to notice a glass with a stain on it, he flipped. He's like, Sham, that's the blue hair chick's name. Why is this glass dirty? She got so scared. She's like, I'm sorry, Kuro. It won't happen again. He's like, it better not. You know what will happen if I find another mess. And then he broke the glass and walked away. Which is hilarious because someone who's very peculiar about messes and things being nice and neat breaks a glass and then just walks away. Like he didn't even want to bother telling her or demanding that she cleans it. He's like, it's dirty, I'm breaking it. Okay, Kuro. Or Claudador, as is his current alter ego. And then once again, back to Garp and Kobe playing Mahjong. And Garp is winning at first until he tells Kobe to stop being a wuss. Stop being on the defensive, stop trying to flee, stop trying to avoid the fight. You have to be aggressive just like with pirates. And then from that moment on, Kobe starts creaming Garp like he goes on a 100-game win streak. And then back to the Straw Hats where they're enjoying the festivities. Luffy and Usopp are just digging in on these fancy hors d'oeuvres. Nami's getting information out of Mary as he tells her he handles all of Kaya's financial matters. And as he's talking to her, Kuro and Kaya walk in. And as they were greeting everybody, Zoro makes a little comment. He's like, haven't I seen you somewhere before? Does the funky bar on Mirrorball Island sound familiar? Which, for those of you who don't know, is a reference to Django's cover story. After he left Sierra Village, he ended up on Mirrorball Island, danced at the funky bar, bar, won a dance contest, and that's how him and Full Body met. Which again, really pisses me off that Django is not in this and they're referencing the funky bar on Mirrorball Island. But anyways, Kuro hears he's like, the funky bar? I would never patronize that type of establishment, good sir. Do not confuse me with some lowly riff-raff like that. I would never go to a dive bar. What is with you? And Zoro's like, sure. I still haven't figured out who you are yet, but I'm very suspicious of you. Don't think you're gonna avoid my eyes just yet. And then on to the fancy dinner where Kaya requests to have some fish. Latador does not let her. He's like, nope, fish is bad for you. You cannot eat that. Absolutely not. Do not eat any fish. Never, ever, ever eat fish. Do you understand me? Pretty much implying that fish is the cure or the antidote to her poison. The moment she eats fish, she's gonna start getting better. Little foreshadowing for the next episode. And in that moment, Usopp jumps in. It's like, Luffy, you wanted to discuss about purchasing a boat, correct? Like, yes, I need to buy that ship you have in the dock. The one with the lamb figurehead or ram figurehead, whatever it is. And then Luffy announces, we're pirates, we need a grand ship. And everyone's like, what? And Nami and Zoro just look at him like, oh my god, we keep forgetting you're a fucking idiot. And Luffy suddenly gets on the table and starts talking about his dream about going to the Grand Line, finding the One Piece and becoming king of the pirates. And Kaya's just look at him like, wow, you're an interesting fella. This is the first funny pirate I've ever met. Well, you're the first pirate I've ever met ever, but I've heard bad stories about them. This is the first time I've seen a pirate being all happy and go-lucky like you. And then back to Kobe and Garp, as Kobe's been creaming Garp the whole time. Hilmuppo walks and is like, sir, we found a small boat sinking in the middle of the ocean, and they just so happened to have this flag on it. It was broken down on the verge of capsizing, but we managed to search it and we found this. And then Kobe jumps in, they must be on the nearest islands. They must be on Gecko Island, which is kind of like Gecko, as in Gecko Moria? Where are they called the Gecko Islands in the original anime? All I remember is Syrup Village. But anyways, moving on. Garp names Kobe as the acting leader for this mission. He's in charge of the troops. Despite Hilmuppo being the senior cadet, he's only a senior cadet because of his father. Despite him having no skills whatsoever, everything he earned was through his father's name. So Garp pretty much tells him, let this be a learning experience for you. Follow Kobe's lead and learn from him. And then once again, back to Syrup Village where we see Mary confronting Kuro about Kuro trying to take Kaya's inheritance. Kuro insists that it's Kaya's will. She wishes for him to hold on to all her assets until she's ready to claim it for herself. Mary, being very dubious of Kuro, or Claudador, as I should say, wants to speak directly with Kaya and hear it from her mouth. Claudador was not having it. He began sprinting throughout the room for no reason. Like, he's moving so fast he's hard to see, so it's clearly he was just showing off, laughing that Mary can't keep up with him. Then he sprinted, grabbed his gloves, and stabbed Mary in the back, pretty much dropping the face of Claudador and showing us the mischievous Captain Kuro of the 1,000 Plans. He's currently in the middle of one of those 1,000 plans, and of course he has 999 more to go. Okay, now we go back to the part that I skipped earlier because I missed it while gathering the images. So, the thing I wanted to mention earlier was we cut back to Buggy. He returned back to his tent. He's gathering all of his limbs from the inside of trunks and chests, and then someone shows up. It's Kurubi from the Arlong Pirates. And he informs Buggy that Arlong wishes to speak with him. This sets up so much, and we're gonna get into it in just a sec. And Buggy's all like, I don't care if Arlong wants a word. I take orders from no one! And he tries to kill Kurubi, only to be knocked out by his fishman karate. Then fast forward about half an hour, and we get to the part where Kurubi takes off the bag off Buggy's head, and Buggy's acting all cognizant. Is this the best way to ask for an autograph? If you wanted tickets to my show, they're pretty expensive. I'm not gonna give them away for free. Then Arlong walks out from the shadow. He's like, I'm not a fan of yours, you pathetic little shit. Buggy freaks out. He's like, Arlong? He's like, that's right, your boss, the one who runs everything in the East Blue. I'm in charge of this blue. No pirate does anything without my permission. Pretty much establishing Arlong as a mob boss. We know he was the strongest pirate in the East Blue, but now it's established that he has control of every crew in that blue. Everyone has to pay a tribute to him. for allowing them to work in the East Blue. And Buggy just crossed the line by ransacking a city without his permission. And now I just wanted to mention this. Like I said earlier, Arlong has the highest bounty in the East Blue. The fact that they showed him this early sort of devalues all of the other bounties we're gonna get, including Kuro's, including Dawn Creed. Although the way everything is going right now, I think they might just skip over Dawn Creed and go straight to Arlong and have Arlong invade the Baratier. But still, it's kind of insulting to the other pirates by showing Arlong's 20 million berry bounty. Well, Kuro only has what, like 15 or 16 million? I forget. He's not that important. Now, once again, Arlong was really annoyed with Buggy, to the point where he was about to kill him. But Buggy informed him that there's another pirate just doing whatever he wants underneath Arlong's nose. He tells him that pirate's name is Luffy, and he just stole a map to the Grand Line. And if Arlong lets him live, he'll help him find him. So Arlong, we don't know the answer as of this episode, but it does seem like Arlong is letting Buggy live, because it would be very weird if he didn't. Back to the Straw Hats, and Nami is just looting the place, because of course, why wouldn't she? It's a house full of valuables. But she accidentally walks into Kaya's room, and Kaya's like, I can see you're stealing, you know that, right? It's fine, I don't really care about all this stuff. I don't really need it, it's just here, it's all tacky. I'm not gonna ask you to give it back. And her and Nami at this moment begin to have a little bit of a heart-to-heart. And Kaya begins to open up to Nami a bit about her sickness and how people treated her like with pity, and she doesn't want that. She would rather be treated normally, like how anyone else would be. And Usopp was one of the only people who did that. He'd come visit her every day, he'd tell her these grandiose stories that made her laugh and ultimately would make her feel better. And the reason she's opening up to Nami now is because in her eyes, Nami is friends with Usopp. That's enough reason for Kaya to get to know her. That's not why she's letting her keep the stuff though, she just doesn't care. But this is kind of a cool moment, because we have this little heart-touching moment with Kaya and Nami, and at the same time, Usopp, Luffy, and Zoro all get together and sort of have like this bro moment where they all open up about each other. Especially Usopp talking about his relationship with Kaya, and how his dad left, but he's fully expecting him to come back. And he tells them that his dad is Yasopp the Great, which freaks Luffy out. He's like, I know Yasopp, I hung out with him as a kid! And Usopp just looks at Luffy like, huh? You hung out with my dad? Cool, like I'm his son and we never hung out. He left when I was still a baby. I'm not jealous, I'm not jealous. And then Luffy continues telling stories about Yasopp, Shanks, and the red-haired crew. And as Zoro's listening to this, he's like, if you guys are just gonna keep talking about these feelings, I'm gonna need a drink. Like, where's the booze at? Usopp informs like, yeah, they have a wine cellar in the basement. He's like, God, you couldn't have told me earlier? Let's go. And as they're leaving, Luffy's like, you guys go on ahead. I have all the food right here. Opening up the blue soup, which is, the obviously poisoned soup. And Luffy, not having the iron stomach he currently has in the manga, is probably gonna suffer from drinking this entire kettle of poisoned soup. And now, while Usopp and Zoro were gathering some booze, they discovered the dead body of Mary. Usopp instantly freaks out, because this is probably the first dead body he's seen besides his mother. And Kuro zips down there, is like, oh, you guys were not supposed to see that. And in that moment, Zoro instantly recognized him. He's like, oh, those 5 blades, I knew you looked familiar. You're the Kuro of the Black Cat Pirates. He's like, yes, that's right. And Zoro questions him. He's like, aren't you supposed to be dead? Didn't Axe-Hand Morgans kill you? And then Kuro reveals, that was just one of my 1,000 plans. I still have another 998 to go. And you're not included in one of them. So I'm gonna need you to disappear. By the way, in this moment, Kuro revealed that it was just Axe-Hand Morgan's ego that allowed him to get away with that lie. He wasn't hypnotized. This was the moment I realized Django is not here. How dare they not include such an important character like Django? Like, Django shows up more times than Kuro in the anime and manga. Django has way more screen time than Kuro. I mean, even recently, Kuro just got a fan art made. That's the only time he's shown up since his ending at Sarah Village. If they had to cut out a character, just cut out Kuro and keep Django. Why would you guys not keep Django? He's Django! He's the freaking moonwalking hypnotist. Like, why? I understand he's goofy and you want to have a serious storyline, but you don't cut Django. You could have given him a serious plot thread. Okay, little temper tantrum over. Let's move on with the story. So Kuro uses unmatched speed to get between Zoro and the door, and Zoro, having his full attention on Kuro, gets blindsided by Sham. She cracks a bottle over his head, knocking him out. And Usopp, seeing this, freaks out. He's like, nope, I'm out of here. He books it out of the very skinny window where the big fat dude, Butchie, could not follow him out of. But Kuro wasn't worried. He knows Usopp's reputation as the liar, so he knows no matter who he goes to, no one will believe him. And then he gives Sham some very clear and distinct orders. This time, dispose of the bodies outside of the house. Make sure it's not easily found. Leave no evidence behind. Am I speaking slowly enough for you? And then again, back to Nami, who is returning some of the things she stole. After having a good heart-to-heart with Kaya, she figured Kaya's not that bad of a person. I shouldn't be stealing from her. I typically steal from pirates who are evil or corrupt noble people. You know, the people who have a lot of money but don't actually use it for anyone but themselves. So I'm gonna start returning these things. So back to Butchie and Sham as they're carrying out Zoro and Mary's body, and they dump it into a well, leaving nothing behind, not even Zoro's swords. They all go down that well, but knowing Zoro, he has his 3 swords. He should be fine. He was only knocked out, and a drop into a well will not kill him. And we see Usopp as he's running throughout the village. He's knocking on doors like, help, help, it's pirates. I'm being serious this time, please, help. No one's believing him. The boy who cried pirate, no one's gonna take him seriously, even though now he's actually doing it in the middle of the night instead of middle of the day, and he's begging them that he's serious. He has tears in his eyes. He gets a flashback to how his mother died and how helpless he felt in that situation, and he's reliving that helplessness right now. He's like, no one will believe me. Why won't anyone listen to me? And then Kobe walks up to him. He's like, I believe you. I'm here to help. I am a Marine officer. Kobe D. Hero. And then we get it to be continued. That's it. That's how the episode ends, with Kobe being like, I believe you. I mean, we're used to it in the anime, but this is the first time we experienced it in the live action, and it was kind of annoying. I wanted to see what happened next. But you know what? We're gonna get to that pretty soon. As soon as I'm done with this video, I'm gonna watch the next episode and let you guys know about it. So anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. I am very annoyed that the grooviest pirate slash marine officer slash hypnotist is not in this series, but I already let all my venting out. I'm not gonna bother you guys with that anymore. So I look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode. And remember, stay groovy, y'all. See ya.